Hey, what's up? I'm Channel Pup, fanboy supervillain. And today I am going to be reviewing every Marvel Fortnite skin in chronological order. Why? Well, my buddy Litzy, who I sometimes edit for, threw the idea my way. Subscribe to him for whatever nonsense he's talking about Fortnite now. Apparently you're advocating for nerfs now? What is wrong with you? But also because I've really been getting back into Fortnite with Chapter 5 Season 4, what with being a comic fan and everything. And I've always just been really impressed with how Fortnite adapts these character designs. So, screw it, yeah, let's talk about every single Marvel design they've done so far. While I will be talking about some variants, I will be omitting things like super levels and foils simply because there's not much to say about them, and this video is long enough as it is. If you love Marvel, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and the link to my Patreon is in the description below. If you don't support me there, you're not a real fan. Sorry, I don't make the rules. Ain't I just the German sausage? So the very first Marvel skin to drop in Fortnite was Black Widow back in April of 2019. This was Chapter 1 Season 8. So this is way before my time of playing Fortnite. And this was a super interesting choice for Fortnite to kind of lead their Marvel representation with. Because you'd think they'd go for Spider-Man, rights allowing, or maybe Captain America or Iron Man, but no, they went for Black Widow. Now, in terms of the design here, this is definitely Fortnite's Black Widow. They've made it their own. There's definitely elements of the comic book Black Widow designs, and a few MCU-isms in there as well with the very tactical look to it, and the much more militaristic belt. And they've also gone for a sleeveless look as well. One detail I really like, though, is the Black Widow insignia on her chest. I'd love to see more Black Widow designs incorporate that into the design. With Black Widow, obviously in the comics and in the films as well, she's quite a sexualized character, and this design doesn't suffer from over-sexualization, but she's still a, good-looking character. She does come with a blonde variant as well. This would have been the same year as Avengers Endgame released, so, she was blonde in Infinity War, so makes sense. Alright, next up we've got Star-Lord from Chapter 1 Season 8 back in April of 2019. And once again, they've very much made it their own. He's got that sort of swashbuckling space pirate look, and the colors are very much keeping in theme with his MCU design. His helmet, again, much closer to the MCU version of the helmet, the top of his head exposed, revealing a mohawk. And there's lots of nice little character touches that tell us a bit about who Peter Quill is in this design, such as his portable cassette player and the headphones he's wearing over his helmet. This one isn't bad, but I definitely think Star-Lord could do with another shot. A new design that will better fit in with the other Guardians of the Galaxy skins that came later in this game, when design sensibilities had kind of evolved. I would love to see his more comic booky design, complete with the more militaristic helmet. This isn't bad, it's just very Fortnite Season 1. Okay, so next up is Deadpool from Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 2 in February of 2020. This would have been when the world started going down the tubes. And what we've got here is very much kind of a marriage between Deadpool's comic book look and his more movie look from the time, pre-Deadpool and Wolverine, in that all the design elements that are here are the ones from the movie Deadpool suit, but it's got much more of a skin-tight sort of spandexy look with these very accentuated muscles, which makes sense for a more cartoony design. Like, the world of Fortnite has never really done the kind of realism thing, so if they were doing that, yeah, I would want a reduction on how vivid the muscles are. But in this case, it's absolutely a-okay. I think they did a really nice job at bringing this Deadpool to this game. And it's here where we start to see some variations come in as well. You've got a version with the mask off, and yeah, so it's a bit more comic booky when he's got his mask off, as he's got these whited out eyes. Really very creepy. You've also got an X-Force variant as well, which is just a different colorway effectively, but it's definitely very cool that they included that. The first quarter of 2020 was definitely Deadpool season, as here we have Ravenpool, and forgive me if I don't really know the origins of this one. I'm guessing that the Raven is a Fortnite thing. See, I only really ever play as like the IP crossovers, so I don't really know much about like Fortnite's original cast or anything like that. But yeah, he's kind of cool. I haven't really got much to say about this one. And then there's Cuddlepool, and again, I'm at a loss, but it feels very in theme with the whole Deadpool thing that he would have a furry variant. I know that there is a woman in Fortnite that kind of dresses up like a bear, so this again is another Fortnite meets Marvel mashup, and yeah, it's fine for what it is. Again, really not much to say here. Continuing the trend of Marvel skins in Chapter 2 Season 2, we have Domino, part of the X-Force set. A set that maybe feels like it should have launched a couple of years earlier to tie in with Deadpool 2, but still very cool to see nevertheless. This Domino design is clearly more based on the comic Domino design rather than the Deadpool 2 design where she was portrayed by Zazie Beetz. And I really love the design of the costume here. It is very much that classic comic booky Domino, and I would have loved to have seen Zazie Beetz wear this outfit in Deadpool 2, maybe a future Deadpool movie, but for now Fortnite has us covered. And one thing I really do like about Fortnite's design sensibilities is how, yes, these are cartoony costumes, but they still feel like they are made with kind of a live action tangible look to the actual clothing. You can see how the materials crease and how the different materials are layered atop one another. Her face and hair are all very nicely designed as well, keeping in with Fortnite's established art style while also accurately representing the character. Yeah, Domino's outfit here is a win. It's a nice middle ground between, like, say, where the Star-Lord and Black Widow suits were very Fortnite inspired, and then you've got the Deadpool suit, which is very movie Deadpool inspired. Here we have a nice middle ground where it's like you can see some of Fortnite's own design sensibilities in there, but it is quintessentially that classic Domino look from the comics. Next up is Psylocke, once again from the X-Force set. Once again, the designers have kind of treated this costume like it's a movie costume. Everything here looks tangible. You can kind of tell what materials it would be made out of. You can see seam lines on it. I love that. There's some nice ribbing on the legs, some nice piping going up around the torso. They have gone very dark with the shades of colors they've chosen, like her hair is a very dark purple, and then her bodysuit is a very, very dark sort of midnight blue, or maybe even blue-black. But then, like, you've got these very sort of light purple accents on the piping, and then you've got a very light purple on her waistband. So it's like dark with bright highlights, and that also kind of complements how you've got the very dark materials juxtaposed with her very warm skin tone. I can definitely see the vision. A very, very dark overall design, but with highlights that are a little brighter. Still kind of muted, but just a little bit brighter. So there's a really nice contrast going on with this design. I think it would have been nice if they maybe included an alternate colorway that was just a bit brighter. At this time, they weren't really doing much in terms of variants for the skins, but as it stands, this is a really nice, tasteful design. When it comes to Cable, also part of the X-Force set, Fortnite definitely leaned much more into the comic book sensibilities of the design. That very larger-than-life, militarized 90s kind of look, rather than, say, the drastically toned-down version from Deadpool 2. The man is built like a brick shithouse here. I don't know how to really get this across, but he looks like your girlfriend's dad. But they've definitely leaned even further into those comic book sensibilities than they did for, say, Domino or Psylocke. And it does stick out a little bit because of that. I think this could have done with a slight bit more dark shading on the blue bodysuit, just here and there. Maybe dirty it up just a little bit and make the yellows a bit more golden. But this is clearly leaning more into a very comic booky look. So, to be honest, it succeeds at that completely. Just looks a tiny bit out of place with the other parts of the X-Force set, I'd say. So, okay, next we have Captain America, who launched in Chapter 2, Season 3 back in July of 2020, and was part of the Avengers set. Once again, we've got that marriage of the cartoony and the tangible. In that's definitely a cartoon man under the Captain America helmet, but the costume is made with realistic sensibilities complete with seams and layers, including those big ol' lace-up boots. The costume is pulling quite a bit from MCU design sensibilities with the different paneling. It's got that very modern militaristic look to it. I definitely think this one would have benefited from some colorway variants. I would have liked one that had maybe brown gloves and boots, maybe a little more dirtied up. And I'm really not sure how I feel about the belt being brown but with red pouches. That just looks a little strange to me. The helmet is nicely done. Once again, they've gone for the helmet look for the mask rather than something a bit more comic booky. I feel like I would have definitely appreciated if this would have just moved away from the MCU in one regard, that being making the little wings on his head raised. I thought it was tasteful what the MCU did with the Captain America helmet, but I don't want to see every version do that, and I think Fortnite presented quite an opportunity to kind of move away from that. But there is one thing this design does a million times better than the MCU did, and that is that they could allow a rectangle to simply be a rectangle. Yes, the stripes going down Captain America's abs actually look like stripes rather than whatever the fuck that was in the MCU. Overall, a great skin. I just think it would have benefit from some alternate colorways. But again, they weren't really doing that at this time. But that's about to change with this next skin. We've got Storm from Chapter 2 Season 4 in August of 2020, who comes with 2 different styles and then a series of foils. Starting off with the classic Storm look. Again, It's a marriage between the comic booky and the realistic. You've got a marriage of white fabric with kind of pearlescent white accents. You've also got gold accents on the suit, and then you've got these nice chunky X-Men logos on the chest. It's also cool how her kind of headpiece tiara is kind of pulling her hair back. It's a really nice costume design, very regal looking, and I really especially love the little subtle metal X in the center of the belt. You've got a really nice faithful translation of that classic look, but with a nice layered feel to it. But then you've got an option of playing in her more kind of 1980s look, with the Punk Storm skin, where she's rocking the black leather before it became lame, and a mohawk. The outfit clearly draws inspiration from a few of the 1980s Storm designs, but I especially love the X insignias on the shoulder pads. They look just awesome. The gold piping around the jacket as well looks really nice. All of the accessories here look very tasteful. There is nothing over-designed at all about this. While I personally prefer her classic white outfit, this is still a really cool alternative that I'm glad they included. Okay, so next up we have Groot. Once again from Chapter 2, Season 4. And what we've got here is basically just straight up Guardians of the Galaxy 1 Groot. Not really any discernible difference at all here. He's slightly more cartoony in that, like, the wooden texture's a bit less dirtied and a little less liney, but that's really it for this one. I notice it looks like he's got a heart over his cock, which I find kind of funny. No majorly different styles for this one either, just a few foils. Next up, once again in Chapter 2, Season 4, it's Wolverine. Very much in his classic yellow and blue getup with black accents, and yeah, he looks great. Personally, I think I would have preferred if the black parts had a little blue tint to them, but that's just me. I would have also preferred if the belt were entirely red rather than being blue with the red insignia on it. But again, that is just a small personal preference thing. Other than that, they've done a really nice job with this. Once again, there's the seam lines and the different fabric layers to it, but they've gone quite simplistic with it this time. And that was probably for the best, as this is a very comic booky looking Wolverine. He's got the whited out eyes, and I really love the chunky metal belt buckle on there. Speaking of the more realistic design sensibilities that I hear, I really like the ribbed belt, and I don't mind the knee pads on this suit. They're subtle, they work well enough. I do kind of wish the blowjob handles went a little further back and had a bit more of a smooth curvature to them, and I do think the shoulder pads make his body look a bit too boxy because he's already got brick shithouse shoulders. I feel like I want to see this one in gameplay though, because I want to know if they made him his comic book accurate height of 5'3", which is my height. Hey, representation matters. Probably not though, as I understand that like Fortnite reuses a lot of animations and rigging, so they generally all have to be kind of the same overall height. So I do understand why, if not, it would just be kind of cool. He does come with some alternate styles as well. You've got the brown and yellow suit from the John Byrne run, a super easy costume to get right, and yeah, they got it right. Just even here though, he doesn't have the shoulder pads, and I just feel like his body looks just a bit too boxy. And then you've got the Logan style, and here's where things get a bit weird, because here he has those signature Logan mutton chops, but then on the other skins for him, there's no evidence of him having any mutton chops under there at all. And I kinda wish there was. But the Logan skin's fine as well. They've done a nice job adapting his hairstyle, and he's got the ripped tank top as well. Yeah, overall, they did a nice job with the Wolverine skins, and there's some nice variety in there. Continuing on, 2 years ahead of her MCU debut, Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 4 delivers us Jennifer Walters, aka the She-Hulk. And keeping in theme with the previous playable Wolverine, you have a choice between playing as Jennifer Walters in her normal form or She-Hulk. Jennifer Walters is in her lawyer look, and she's got this big pair of purple glasses. She also has a different colorway, which is in black, with red streaks in her hair. I'm gonna be honest though, I don't really see anyone playing as Jennifer Walters and not She-Hulk. She's not like Logan, where he has a distinctive look in and out of the costume. This just looks like a businesswoman skin, effectively. The She-Hulk skin itself, though, looks great. The bodysuit itself kind of predicting some of those MCU sensibilities. You've got a lot of piping work in there. There's a very sort of ribbed look to the torso. She's got these big puffy knee pads, and a little tear on one of the legs, which is a nice touch. She does, of course, look a lot better than MCU She-Hulk, though, because she isn't in the uncanny valley. She's a cartoony-looking person rather than a realistic one. Also, I think they did a really nice job at making her shoulders look very built. She looks like a very built, a Hulk-esque woman. That same crimson colorway that applies to the Jennifer Walters costume also applies to She-Hulk, allowing you to play as Red She-Hulk, who you can kind of pretend is Betty Ross. Overall, very cool. And we're seeing the trend of allowing us to play as the alter ego and the superhero continue with the Iron Man skins, as you get Tony Stark in kind of his undersuit. a sort of sporty Under Armour gear, but he's also got that arc reactor on full display and those signature Tony Stark glasses. While I personally wouldn't see myself playing as Tony Stark over Iron Man, once again, Tony does at least have a very distinctive look, with the glasses, the goatee, and the arc reactor. But the real star of the show here is the Iron Man suit, which very much feels like it could have been a suit in the MCU. Which makes sense because the way the MCU generally handled the Iron Man suit designs is kind of the quintessential way of doing Iron Man in 3D. But you've kind of got a mashup here of that classic red and gold Iron Man armor and kind of the bleeding edge look. The armor on the lower torso also kind of reminding me a little bit of the Heartbreaker armor from Iron Man 3. But then where this kind of blends in with the Fortnite aesthetic being a bit more cartoony is that we've got very bright, vibrant colors on this one. Particularly that very bright blue on the arc reactor. The one thing I will say is I wish the geometry were just a bit sharper on this one. It's a super detailed suit, but it's just a little bit soft looking, and I do understand why. These Fortnite skins can never be too high poly, and they also need to run on the Switch as well, and god, I'd imagine this looks like shit on the Switch. I do think this would have maybe benefit from leaning a bit more in the comic booky direction though. Given those big red discs on the thighs, simplify the armor up just a little bit, particularly on the torso and head. But overall, it is a nice design. Continuing on with Chapter 2 Season 4, we have Mystique, who comes with 2 unique outfits and then some foils. And they've definitely moved away from the movie sensibility of making Mystique a blue naked lady. And I get why, because Fortnite is family friendly. And they've put her in her white getup. It's still quite a sexualized, quite revealing outfit, but it's not full-on naked lady stuff. They brought in a lot of different elements of her comic book look, from the white loincloth to the skull belt, which I don't understand why live action has never done, because the skull belt goes hard as fuck. But you've also got the choice of playing in Mystique's black suit. Saying that, this isn't really a black suit as such, it's more like a kind of a blue-black, kind of a midnight blue with blue accents on it, but it's a tactical look. Zips up, lots of ribbed black leather, very 2000s in that regard, but she's also got the skull belt on there. See, how hard was that to make it match up with the black leather look? Another area where they've moved away from the movie designs as well is that she's not covered in scales either. She is just a blue person with yellow out eyes. Continuing with Chapter 2 Season 4, we have Thor. And amazingly saying that only took 1 take. Good for me. Now here they've been a bit more outside the box. Rather than adapting Thor's classic look or one of the MCU designs, they've instead adapted a look that was current in the comics in 2020. That being the Cosmic King Thor design. Okay, Fortnite, more of this please. More of these unique designs from different comic story arcs. And this skin is very much a one-to-one translation of the Cosmic King Thor design, complete with his very cosmic outfit, his armor and tunic having these little stars and galaxies all over it, the light blue stripes and circles kind of making a double-breasted look, the very spiky boots and gauntlets that look very imposing, complete with little purple and red accents. He's also got those luscious Thor locks, glowing eyes, and tiara. This look was a really unique choice, and they executed it incredibly well. There is also a blue powered-up variant, which very amazing Spider-Man 2 Electro vibes here. This is great though. I'd love to see more like this, specific comic book looks for these characters. He does also come with a back bling cape as well, fitting in with the Cosmic God design, and yeah, it looks great. Chapter 2 Season 4 continues with Doctor Doom. Fortnite's first iteration of Doctor Doom anyway. He's got the green hooded tunic with very heavy-duty looking metal armor. Like the mask and the shoulders and the arms, they all look incredibly heavy-duty. He has very much kind of a timeless, almost kind of medieval look to it, and the mask has a very threatening grimace on its face. I dare say Fortnite have done a much better job adapting Doctor Doom's outfit than any of the live-action movies so far have done. He does also come with an alternate version, which is God Emperor Doom, swapping his silver armor out for gold armor and his green tunic out for a white one. Definitely giving him some regal drip here. He also comes with a cape back bling, which, yeah, Doctor Doom would look kind of incomplete without. Overall, yeah, they did a great job with this one. Next up, we've got the Silver Surfer, and, where's your dick, bro? He got no dick. If you got no dick, how are we supposed to recolor you in blue and call you Dr. Manhattan? This probably wasn't the most difficult one in the world to pull off, muscular man painted silver, and that's exactly how the Silver Surfer should look. So, aced it. They didn't overcomplicate it or anything like that. He's got a very nice chromy look to him. And yeah, they could probably reuse this body to make a Dr. Manhattan. They just have to kind of get around the whole having his dick out thing. It would be really cool, though, if Fortnite did do like a Watchmen crossover. Next up is Blade, and yes, 2020 Chapter 2 Season 4 continues to throw out the Marvel skins. And we've got Blade here, complete with his flat top hairstyle, his red sunny glasses, his black tactical armor with red accents, and they've done a really nice job at bringing this to life. He's also got the V-shape cut into the back of his hair and his tattoos. He's armed to the teeth, he's got lots of buckles, looks very heavy duty. Yeah, this is a good look for Blade, but it's nowhere near as good as the alternate skin, which adds the massive leather jacket to him, complete with the red design on the back, as well as his very chunky upper arm armor. Yeah, this one looks sick. The way the cape flows, the way it really kind of cuts an imposing figure on Blade. Yeah, this is the version that I would be playing as if I had this skin. Next up, we have Daredevil, a very bright Daredevil at that. And we've got the very realistic design sensibilities here, complete with the piping, we've got shoulder pads, we've got the wrapped gloves. You can even see how his belt connects to his baton holster. His mask is more like a helmet akin to the MCU design. And then there's the one thing this suit is definitely doing better than the MCU suits. It is the 2 Ds on the chest. Yeah, this one actually has the Daredevil logo. I also like how sleek the costume design here is. I do think it is a tad garish, could be maybe darkened, dirtied up, or maybe muted a little bit. And I definitely would have appreciated like a black colorway with red piping on it, maybe make the bandaged hands white. But it does still come with an alternate look, that being illustrated Daredevil, this being the first time they've gone for the cel-shaded look. And for a first go around, I tell you what, they've done a nice job. I wouldn't say it looks anywhere near as good as their later cel-shading attempts, but it was a really cool thing to do. Also, I think this makes the wrapped gloves look a lot better as well. Overall, yeah, it's an awesome design, I just think it could do with a bit more definition to it, which the illustrated look does at least give. Next up, we have Ghost Rider, and they did not skimp out on this one at all. He's got the black biker leathers, complete with all of the spikes you could possibly want. Do not hug this guy, you will get impaled. He's got the skull belt buckle, and of course, his flaming skull head with his grimacing eyes. How do you make a skull grimace? I don't know, but it looks awesome. I also love that you can see his spine under his jacket as well, but what I will say is, why stop there? Where's his fucking ribcage? I love the idea that Ghost Rider just gets naked and all he is a spine with a head attached to it. Bringing things full circle, we have a revisitation of Black Widow, now in her snowsuit. And comparing this to the original Black Widow skin, which was the very first Marvel Fortnite skin, it is night and day. The original Black Widow was definitely more Fortnite than it was Marvel. This one is a bit more Marvel than it is Fortnite. Now, by this point in 2020, Black Widow's snowsuit would have been revealed in the trailers for the Black Widow solo movie. I also believe, I might be mistaken, I'm just being purely anecdotal here, that Black Widow was meant to release in 2020 were it not for the pandemic, so they probably had this skin ready to go for then. While this skin is pretty faithful to how that white suit looks in the Black Widow movie, it's not exactly the same. It's not a one-to-one. The piping designs are a little bit different here and there, but overall, if you really do like the snowsuit, this is the snowsuit. One thing I will say that is a bit of a missed opportunity though is obviously the snowsuit is a very situational suit for Black Widow. It's not her signature look, that's not her main outfit. So in terms of Black Widows that we have playable in Fortnite, you've got either the very Fortnite Season 1 looking Black Widow, or you've got this very specific Black Widow here. No kind of in-between archetypical Black Widow, and I feel that could have been achieved if they just offered an additional colorway for this one. Just have this suit in black. Slight missed opportunity there, but nonetheless a good skin. Closing out Chapter 2 Season 4, we have Venom. And we've got a very faithful design here. You've got Venom's big toothy grin, his big tongue, his jagged eyes, his giant spider logo, no, I will not call it a dragon, and the white pads on the back of his hands, which they sometimes forget to include, so I'm glad to see them here. The suit is black with blue highlights, which I really like. That's a quintessential staple of video game Venom. Look at Spider-Man PS1, look at Web of Shadows. Venom's been black with blue highlights, or just straight up blue. So I'm happy to see that Fortnite Venom has followed suit there. The overall look is great, but the only things I'm not so keen on are just how much kind of line work is on this Venom design here. I think it's kind of meant to look like kind of an insect-like exoskeleton, but I don't truthfully think that was necessary here. It's not like it doesn't work or it distracts or anything, but I would prefer it without, I think. Kind of similar to how, like, Insomniac's black suit had that kind of very exoskeletal look. I don't really like seeing armaments on the symbiote. But there is an alternate look for this Venom, where it looks like Fortnite have taken a few more liberties. Now, truth be told, while I do know a fair bit about Venom, I haven't read every Venom comic ever made, so forgive me if I'm citing this wrong, but I think this is an original design for Venom. But it seems to incorporate elements of Spider-Man 2099's design with how the stripes move down the arms and move into these kind of spikes at the back of the elbows. The spider on the chest reminds me quite a bit of Spider-Man Web of Shadows, but it's kind of cool how it moves around his legs as well. The eyes are a bit more vicious looking and work their way around the back of his head. The mouth is a bit less clean, a bit more liquid-like, kind of gives me some Ultimate Spider-Man vibes in that regard. And he's got this funny little knob on the top of his head, almost kind of looks like a hood. This is a cool design, I guess. I prefer the classic one, but if Fortnite wanted kind of their own Venom, this is certainly a means to an end. He's also got a lot more symbiote stuff going on as well. I can see why they call this the Extreme Venom. It's almost kind of like, you know, he's at that next level of power. But I'm more of a classic Venom guy myself, and you can probably tell by my lack of knowledge of where this suit came from, if it did come from somewhere that isn't Fortnite. I did do some Googling, and I sure as hell couldn't find anything. Alright, continuing in the year of 2020, although December 2020, kicking off the Chapter 2 Season 5 collaborations, we have Taskmaster, which makes some sense as Taskmaster would make his or her MCU debut the following year. But we'd seen Taskmaster in the trailers for Black Widow by this point, so given that they recently gave us Snowsuit Black Widow, makes sense for us to get Taskmaster as well. And they've definitely leaned much more in the comic book direction for this Taskmaster design, complete with very accentuated muscles and quite a simplistic overall bodysuit in orange and blue. There's quite a plasticky look to this Taskmaster though when compared to, say, Black Widow, so I think Taskmaster would kind of stick out just a little bit. I definitely wish the actual outfit looked just that tiny bit less plastic. But we've got kind of the assassin hood going on as well with the white fabric, and the skull mask has been done quite nicely too. Overall, yeah, it's fine, it's Taskmaster. Following that, we've got Captain Marvel, in a suit that is very reminiscent to her MCU design, although I'd argue maybe a little better in some spots. It's still got that piping and layering to it that the MCU costume has, but it's just a little bit less so. They've dialed it back a little bit, which I do like, although I still think it's a bit too much. I don't like how much piping and design work is on the legs, and I think the red piping on the torso would definitely look better if it were blue as well. I'd also like to see a less militaristic blue, something a bit more cosmic looking. But one thing I do really like here is the sort of the big, what is that even called? The big fabric belt piece. That, I like seeing that. That looks good. They've also come up with a nice design for Carol Danvers' face as well. It would be cool if we could get an alternate skin where she has the short hair, or maybe a colorway in her Avengers Endgame colors. They could even do a black colorway as just a little homage to her Ms. Marvel days. She does come with one alternate skin, which is her powered up. She's got all this golden energy, her hands are glowing gold, and yeah, that looks really cool as well. So yeah, overall, they've done a nice job with Captain Marvel. Not my favorite one they've done, but still not bad. Next up, we have the king of the Marvel Universe himself, T'Challa's Black Panther. Very difficult design to actually get wrong, this one, and they certainly didn't get it wrong. Once again, leaning a bit more into the cartoony comic booky look with the very accentuated muscles, while also kind of leaning a little bit into the tangible with the piping and the layers and the different materials. I really do like the gold accents around the belt section, but if there is one thing that Fortnite has done better than the MCU ever did for King T'Challa, it's giving him his cape complete with his massive collar. It just looks powerful. And that's available as a back bling, so if you do just want to play as Black Panther without the cape, you can. There is an alternate style as well, which is the kinetically charged Black Panther, so he's got all that purple energy flowing through him, which, yeah, I'd definitely rather play as him without the purple energy, personally. But if you like that kind of look, then it's here. Kicking off 2021, we have Ant-Man. This almost kind of feels like a leftover from the Season 1 era of Marvel Fortnite costumes, because for one, there's no alternate looks for him. No different colorways, no unhelmeted version or anything like that. And secondly, this is a very unique to Fortnite design. Typically speaking, there's usually some MCU inspiration here, but on this one, I can't find any. I would not say that this looks at all like an alternate MCU Ant-Man costume, but there's definitely some things here that I really like. My favorite thing about this is the antlers atop the head. They haven't shied away from giving him those antlers or tried to make them look like a technical piece. Nah, they're just there, they're unashamed of themselves. This is also a very science fiction-y, sci-fi looking suit this time as well, a bit more so than the very aged look that Ant-Man suits in the MCU had, with the exception of the Civil War suit, which is actually my favorite of the bunch. I like how the red fabric and the gray fabric are kind of broken up by the black kind of plastic And then you've got the silver accents such as the gauntlets and shoulder pads and this neck thing. But there are a couple of things I'm not as fond of about this design either. When you've got this chunky piece on the neck and shoulders, the actual little neck itself just being red fabric does look a little strange. It makes the head look a little top heavy. And I won't lie, it would be cool if we had the mouth exposed, more like kind of a comic booky Ant-Man. But yeah, it's cool to see Fortnite kind of just saying, yeah, this is Fortnite's Ant-Man. Moving away from MCU inspiration just a little more. But every boomerang comes right back around because the next skin is Thanos, kicking off Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 7's Marvel collabs. And yeah, this is basically just Avengers Endgame's Thanos design. But it's been just a tiny bit tidied up. The armaments are a little less complex, and I think that's only benefit this design. But this is distinctly the Avengers Endgame version of Thanos nonetheless. He's got his black and gold armor, he's got his Infinity Gauntlet on, and his helmet. And he does look good. The only thing I'd say is I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity that they didn't offer us some other looks for Thanos. Like maybe we could have his Infinity War design, which I always thought was way cooler. But still, if you want a good representation of Thanos, well, this is it. Continuing on with the MCU inspiration, and once again no alts, we have Loki Lorfison. The outfit here is almost a one-to-one recreation of his Avengers 1 outfit, and I have to say they've done a damn nice job of it. He's got his big horned helmet, with no option to remove that, which is a little strange. He also, for some reason, comes with a cape back bling, which doesn't even fit on him, and it looks stupid. It would have also been amazing if we could have had a classic Loki design in here, as this did release kind of at a similar time as the Loki TV series, but what are you gonna do? Next up, we have Gamora. So that now makes 3 of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's a weird hodgepodge of design sensibilities here, because you've got Star-Lord, who is very much a Fortnite take on Star-Lord. Then you've got Gamora here, who's very much kind of the comic book Gamora, complete with this very Stormtrooper-esque outfit, which I think looks actually kind of cool. And then you've got Groot from the movie. So yeah, so far the Guardians are a real hodgepodge of design sensibility here, but it is always cool to see Fortnite lean a bit more into the comic designs than the movie designs. And once again, they've applied that signature Fortnite design sensibilities of cartoony but tangible. Not much to really say about this one. Solid. Next up, we have Shang-Chi. With this skin releasing in September of 2021, this will definitely have coincided with the release of the Shang-Chi movie. But rather than go for Shang-Chi's MCU look, they've instead given us more Shang-Chi's comic book design. So no, he doesn't look like Simu Liu in the slightest. This is a younger looking Shang-Chi. And you've got some comic book sensibilities here that you rarely see in movies, such as golden scale armor. He is wearing that red and gold tunic straight from the comics, with the green, what the fuck is this called? A waist scarf? Like, what do you call this? And his very dark green pants, which are tucked into his socks. There's also a sleeveless outfit, so again, very comic book Shang-Chi. And I think it is really cool that they did go for the comic Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is a character that not everyone really knew about at the time of Shang-Chi's movie releasing, so it's cool that Fortnite kind of went away from what was mainstream and just went for the comic look. Next up, kicking off the Marvel collabs for Chapter 2 Season 8, we have Carnage, who released in September of 2021, so this would have been coinciding with the release of Venom Let There Be Carnage, and yeah, this is definitely Woody Harrelson's Carnage design, which I always thought was an okay look for Carnage, if a little too similar to Venom himself. I always like Carnage a bit more when he's got kind of a black inky consistency to his symbiote, and he's a little bit more fucked up looking. I also really like when he's got that pink mouth and black teeth, but whatever, like as a representation of movie Carnage, this is about as good as you're gonna get. It's pretty dead on, it's been really nicely adapted into Fortnite's slightly more cartoony style. Yeah, they did a great job with this. You do also get a second choice of style, which is Maximum Carnage, where his symbiote tendrils are just going crazy, which is more like what Carnage generally does, so yeah, I would say this is definitely the better one. Next up, once again, coinciding with the release of Venom Let There Be Carnage, we have
Eddie. Yes, they made Eddie look very good. They have done an excellent job at making Eddie look just like he does in the movies, but just a little bit more cartoony. They have given him his varsity jacket, and the likeness to Tom Hardy is just uncanny. I would like to feed him some eggs. Eggs, Eddie? Yes!
And then he comes with an alternate style as well, being movie Venom, who is a little more slimmed down than the comic book Venom we saw without the armor plating as well, which I do like better, but I do miss the blue highlights and the big spider on the chest, so I still gotta go with the classic Venom skin. But they have done a really nice job at kind of getting that likeness to the movie Venom's facial features, and the white veins as well. This is a very clean skin. Next up is Dark Phoenix, and it's clear that they've just gone for a straight comic adaptation here, and she looks great. It's a very clean suit. I do think the gold looks a little plasticky, and I do think it's a bit of a missed opportunity that they didn't offer just a regular Jean Grey skin with this. But still, this is solid. Next up is Nick Fury, and what to really say here, he's Nick Fury. That's just what Nick Fury looks like. They haven't gone for a Samuel L. Jackson likeness here, instead just going for kind of a existing Fortnite character model, I guess, but he looks the part anyway. And all of the things that would instantly make him recognizable as Nick Fury are here. The eye patch, you've got the earpiece, you've got the turtleneck, and you've got the big, long coat. Yeah, that's Nick Fury. Also, the sealed insignia patch on the shoulder. Yeah, I got nothing to really say about this one. Let's just move on. Oh! Hell yeah. Okay, so Chapter 3, Season 1. This is when I got on board with Fortnite. This is when I started playing, was when I found out that Spider-Man was going to be in the game and that there were web shooters. Super nostalgic. I remember I was at my sister's for Christmas time. I'd just seen No Way Home. And it was funny because you could get the Battle Pass, which had this Spider-Man in it, or you could get the Spider-Man No Way Home set. And I got both. But okay, let's talk about Spidey. This is the Spidey that you could win in the Battle Pass. And he's very much wearing the classic Spider-Man suit, and he looks fantastic. You've once again got that marriage of cartoony and tangible, in that there are seams and piping on the blue of his costume, but then he's got these very cartoony, emotive lenses. I really like how the blue shading looks as well. I could do without some of the piping on the legs, but it is subtle enough. I do like the piping that borders around the red sections though, very nice. And they know better than to mess with Spidey's design too much, so it is just a straight translation of that classic Spidey look, and I wouldn't want it any other way. But he did come with some alts as well that you could unlock on the Battle Pass too. There is the symbiote suit, which is clean as hell, and unfortunately, though, it is a bit more cartoony than the Venom skin that they released for Fortnite, so the two don't really look right together. But I do like this more than the Venom skin. On that Battle Pass, though, I did only unlock the symbiote suit and the classic suit. I didn't unlock the Future Foundation suit, which, yeah, they've done a nice job adapting that as well. They haven't really gone ham with trying to make it look overly realistic or anything. I do like that the black material appears to be more plastic, while the white material appears to be more fabric. But I didn't unlock this one because I'm unlikely to ever play in the Future Foundation suit. He also comes with a few, like, sort of alts. They're not like foils or anything, they're just kind of like photo-negative ones. And I haven't really talked about these, but there is one that I do want to talk about, and that is the Scarlet Blackout suit. Because this might have actually had a purpose at the time anyway, in that this was probably the closest you would get to having Miles Morales' Spider-Man in Fortnite. So there you go. I was kind of interested in maybe unlocking this one if I got that far, but I never did. The first thing I ever purchased in Fortnite was the Spider-Man No Way Home bundle. And that did come with a Spider-Man here, so we're going to talk about him now. This is No Way Home Spidey, and by default he comes with the mask off, and they've done a nice job with Tom Holland's likeness, but I won't lie, I don't think the marriage between cartoony and live action has really boded well for Tom Holland's visage. He's a little uncanny looking, but fortunately you can just pop the mask on and you'll be none the wiser, and I have to say, this looks beautiful. The body type is very cartoony, so it's got very much a classic Spidey kind of a look. A little less bulky than the comic Spidey that came in the Battle Pass, and I think it was really cool that they did offer a Spidey skin that you could get without having to do the Battle Pass, so it was like I played the Battle Pass as this Spidey here while earning that comic Spidey, and I would still say this is probably more my go-to because I love the red and black suit. There are two suits from Spider-Man No Way Home represented here. One of them is the upgraded suit, which is, yeah, my favorite from that film. And unlike Spider-Man PS5 and the Avengers game, they actually went with the No Way Home version of this suit with the classic belt, and it just looks all the better for it. The other suit that you can play in is the black and gold Inside Out suit, and I'm gonna be honest, of all of the MCU Spider-Man costumes, this is probably the one I'm least likely to play in. I do think it is kind of cool to get an inside-out version of the main suit that you could play as, but I would definitely rather have had, say, the Stark suit from Spider-Man Homecoming, or the homemade suit from Spider-Man Homecoming, or maybe the integrated suit. But I tell you what, I would rather have this than Iron Spider, because Iron Spider, very overutilized now, and there is a certain charm to the inside-out suit, so okay, fair enough. But they've also done a really good job with it, like all the circuitry and exposed wiring and stuff is all there. You got a little less, like, loose wiring than you had on the actual design in the movie, which makes sense because that would be very difficult to put onto this model. And you don't have, like, the cell phone taped to his chest either. Fair enough, that would probably look a little bit goofy. This was a great set, though, and it's worth it just for that red and black suit. Included in the bundle is MJ, Michelle Jones Watson, Zendaya. And I must say, I think they did a better job at kind of translating Zendaya's likeness to the Fortnite art style than they did with Tom Holland. Like, she looks right and she doesn't look overly uncanny either. Yeah, okay, it's just Fortnite, but you can play as Zendaya. Nailed it. Her outfit here kind of reminds me of Miles Morales in the What's Up Danger scene. And I don't know if that was deliberate, but I don't recall her ever wearing this outfit in the MCU. That being said, it is definitely one that suits her. This definitely feels like the kind of thing that Michelle Jones-Watson would wear. So they did a nice job with this. Kicking off Chapter 3, Season 1, and the year of our Lord 2022, we have Hawkeye, aka Kate Bishop, which is a little strange considering Hawkeye came out quite a bit before Spider-Man No Way Home, but I digress. Was anyone still interested in Hawkeye by the time that this released? Jesus Christ, I forgot, like, Hawkeye was a Phase 4 thing. They've definitely got to factor that into the next Avengers film, aren't they? Well, this is Kate Bishop's MCU costume to a T. Like, this is pretty much exact. Except, they've kind of very loosely got kind of the Haley Steinfeld likeness. I don't think this is specifically Haley Steinfeld, but just someone that kind of looks like her. A dark-haired young woman, basically. I didn't really give much of a crap about the Hawkeye series, to be honest, so I don't really give much of a crap about this. It would be cool to get, like, the comic Kate Bishop Hawkeye look as well, but this is fine enough. Then we have the Clint Barton Hawkeye, wearing the outfit that he wore in the Hawkeye finale, which is Hawkeye's best outfit yet. Amazing how just kind of going for a simple sports shirt and jeans can really be a better superhero look than all these tactical outfits. The outfit is damn spot on. The face, though, looks absolutely nothing like Jeremy Renner, so I can only assume they did not get the rights to Jeremy Renner's likeness. Maybe this would have been a justified reason to have him wear the Hawkeye mask and go for more of a classic Hawkeye look. It works well enough. If you like Hawkeye, this is Hawkeye. Next up is the Green Goblin, and what we have here is kind of a hybrid between the sort of Willem Dafoe Green Goblin design and the classic Green Goblin design from the comics. In that this is very much an armored suit like the Willem Dafoe Goblin wears, and the armaments are pretty similar to the Dafoe Goblin, but the mask and the overall armor colors are much more akin to the classic comic book Green Goblin. So this is kind of like Fortnite's take on kind of a realistic Green Goblin adaptation in a way. And I gotta say, this is a really great design. I don't love it as much as I love 2002 Gobby, and if they ever gave us a 2002 Gobby skin, provided I had the money for it, I would absolutely buy it. Heck, I'd also take a No Way Home one as well. I do wish the purple armor leaned a little more towards blue than it does pink, but that's my only real kind of criticism of this, I guess. I actually also like how they factored in kind of the scaly look of the Green Goblin's limbs from the comics here as well, in that he wears these shoulder pads and knee pads that have kind of that scaly look on them. That was a tasteful way of incorporating that one comic book design element. On a whole, this was a really cool take on Gobby's design. I just hope that someday we will get a movie design, because I am a 2002 loyalist when it comes to Gobby. Next up, we have Rogue from the X-Men, and you want to move the camera down a little bit on this? No? Okay. Fine, this is still a cool resource anyway. Yeah, they've gone just straight up classic comic book Rogue here. I can't even see any grounded or realistic elements to that spandex bodysuit, which is nice and shiny too. She's got the jacket on, which is really nice. It's just classic Rogue. There's not much to really be said. They nailed it. She looks good. Moving on, we've got Gambit, and I tell you what, if they re-released this guy recently, which they apparently did 16 days ago, he'd probably sell like hotcakes. They should keep him in the store for that reason. Woo, he'd be about to make a name for himself. Once again, just the classic design adapted. Nice. Yeah, the boots have been done really nicely. They look very heavy duty. The jacket cuts out a really nice profile for him. They've given him those classic comic book eyes as well. The only thing I will say is I wish, again, the purple leaned a bit more into the blue than it does the pink, but overall, it's still a great look for Gambit. Moving over to Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 2, we've got Doctor Strange releasing in March of 2022, so kind of coinciding with around about the release window of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And this is very much Doctor Strange's design from that movie. Complete with kind of how the cape looks, the red piping on the blue suit. This is specifically that version of this design. And while he doesn't have the likeness of Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange's look is distinctive enough to adapt with a different sort of facial likeness beneath it. The cape has a really nice quilted texture on the inside as well. They just did a great job with this. He comes with a fair deal of different colorways as well, not much to really talk about there, but I will say that the Tempest colorway kind of reminds me of the What If version of Doctor Strange in terms of its color scheme, so take from that what you will. I think they could have maybe done just a little more with this, maybe offering the different versions of Doctor Strange from the movie, maybe a zombie Strange, that would have been cool. But I mean, hey, they got time. There's inevitably going to be another Doctor Strange movie that they can release a zombie Strange with. Now, our MCU Spider-Man had his very own MJ in Fortnite, but classic comic book Spider-Man did not. And given they had a more built look, yeah, he did look a little strange next to the significantly younger looking Zendaya. Fortunately, we have Mary Jane Watson. And something I really respect about this is they didn't just make a red-headed woman and call it a day. She's wearing an outfit that just screams Mary Jane. For starters, she is wearing a predominantly red and black color scheme, which are quintessentially Spider-Man colors. She's got a brown leather jacket, which is very Mary Jane, and her iconic Spider-Man heart t-shirt. So yes, while they did a really great job at making MJ a red-haired woman, they also did a really nice job with characterizing her outfit, much like what they did for Zendaya's Michelle. Moving on, we have the Prowler, an interesting pick for a Spider-Man villain to feature. But yeah, we're definitely beefing up Spidey's Rose Gallery now. And what we have here is kind of like a mix between the Prowler of Into the Spider-Verse and the Prowler of Insomniac's Spider-Man Miles Morales. In that he's got this very comic booky look, like Into the Spider-Verse did, complete with a cape with a big collar to it. But then the suit underneath that is a lot more armored, like the Insomniac version. And I gotta say, you've kind of got the best of both worlds. While I will admit I do prefer the Spider-Verse version, I do prefer this to the Insomniac version. I feel like we've got a bit more of the Prowler's character in there now. You can, of course, also play without the cape, and I gotta say, you take away the cape, you take away a lot of the sauce this design had. And maybe that would have made all the difference to Insomniac's Prowler design. I don't know, I think the cape makes a world of difference when it comes to the Prowler. So I hope when he does inevitably make his live-action debut, well, aside from Across the Spider-Verse, that he will have the cape. Come to think of it, though, in behind-the-scenes photos of Donald Glover as the Prowler from Across the Spider-Verse, he does have a big collar, which suggests that he probably, in-universe, would have had a cape behind there. Just a side note, his chest emblem on this suit looks like Kingpin squatting to take a shit. That's not a criticism, by the way. Next up is Moon Knight, which released in April of 2022, coinciding with the release of the Moon Knight TV series, as this costume is very much MCU Moon Knight. And honestly, the MCU did a really nice job with the Moon Knight costume. I really kind of like how it was made of like wrap, like kind of has a mummified look to him. And they've done a nice job adapting that here. You do have a choice of wearing a cape or no cape. Don't know why you wouldn't wear a cape, especially because the hood looks really weird without it. And then you can also wear the Mr. Knight costume as well. So there you go. I haven't seen Moon Knight yet, so none of this means anything to me, but they did a nice job at adapting these suits. Releasing, admittedly after, but still at kind of a similar time to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we have the Scarlet Witch skin for Fortnite. Very much based off of her look from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. With that classic sort of Scarlet Witch tiara and a slightly kind of burnt look around the shoulders, but she doesn't have the disgusting black fingers that she had in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, so that's a little disappointing. You have two variations of this suit as well. You've got the Scarlet Witch variation, which is slightly more powered up, lit up, red eyes, and then you have the Sorceress style, which is more just kind of how she generally looked in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. She also comes with a cape, which I don't remember her ever actually wearing, but, like, still, at least it fits her, more or less. Actually, no, it has got that flat look around the shoulders, never mind. I hate that. I hate when it has that flat look around the shoulders, like it's barely even attached. But they did at least put her hair over it, so fair enough. Kicking off the Marvel collaborations for Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 3, we have Spider-Man Zero. So these Zero suits were part of the Marvel x Fortnite Zero War event, in which these characters all got specific costumes. And Spider-Man got this, which is very similar to his Ends of the Earth spider armor suit from the comics. And yeah, like, it's a Fortnite-only version of Spider-Man. This is, you know, a bespoke design, effectively, so that's probably the appeal of this. But personally, I've never been into, like, the tactical armored Spider-Man costumes, so this doesn't really mean anything to me, especially when I've got the other two Spidey skins. If you loved the Ends of the Earth event, then this one is probably for you. Then in July of 2022, we got a new Thor costume for Fortnite. Oh boy, what could this be? The previous one was amazing, so what are they following up with? Are we finally getting a more classic-looking Thor? No, this was the release time of the terrible Thor Love and Thunder, with its, for the most part, terrible costumes. And here we have Thor in his fucking awful golden blue costume. The guy looks like a box of McDonald's fries. This suit looked stinky as hell in the movie it was in, and for once I don't mean that in a good way, and it looks stinky as hell, once again not meaning that in a good way, here. And what's odd is that he's wearing the helmet that he wore for like 4 seconds in the movie with no option to remove it. This suit just looked bad, and I'm not blaming Fortnite for it looking bad. It's just...
Brother,
you do have a couple of options though. You can take the cape off. So you can't take off the helmet, but you can take off the cape. That's really weird to me. And you can also power him up with electrical power. Yeah, as far as these Thor costumes go, this one's a fucking downgrade. And I guess it's awkward now, because we've got 2 different Thors, but both are very specific looks, and we don't have a kind of a classic Thor. And what's odd is that there was a costume in Love and Thunder that he wore very briefly that would have worked for this. But I can see why they went for this, given that that was the main suit of the film, and this was a promotional event, so yeah. It's what it is. Jane Foster's Mighty Thor does at least fare up a little better because her design in the film was a lot better than regular-ass Thor's costume. Yeah, it's the suit from the movie. They've done a really nice job at kind of representing it here. And I should probably mention they did a nice job at representing Thor's Love and Thunder suit as well. Mighty Thor, yeah, she looks fine. No option to remove the helmet though, but you do once again have the option to remove the cape, and why would you? And you can also power her up with electric energy as well. So yeah, the Jane Foster one, it's a little better. Hooray! So next up is Wolverine's Zero outfit for the Zero War event, which is a take on Patch from the comics, except here he's not like suited and booted, he's instead wearing a ripped up sort of tank top look, and you can see remnants of his John Byrne suit underneath, including his little mask hood thing around the back, which is a really nice touch. It's a fun design overall. It's cool that they've kind of taken inspiration from Patch. Not much to really say here, it's fine. The Zero War stuff doesn't really do it for me though. But okay, now we're talking. We have Gwen Stacy, kicking off Chapter 3, Season 4. This released in September of 2022, so this would have been around the time that we got the first couple of trailers for Across the Spider-Verse, and she is wearing her Across the Spider-Verse suit, and they've done a really nice job with the shading style here. It is very reminiscent to Across the Spider-Verse. Fortnite has done some pretty neat tricks with cell shading before, and yeah, they did a really nice job at authentically kind of bringing the Spider-Verse style to life here. There is also an unmasked variant, but sadly it looks a tad awkward because it's got that very sort of plasticky Fortnite look, rather than having the Spider-Verse look carry over to the face. So that's a little unfortunate. This is one where if I had this skin, I would probably play it exclusively with the mask on. I mean, I am always a mask on kind of guy anyway. But yeah, this was overall a really good collaboration. They did a super nice job with this. Next up, we've got another Zero War outfit, and this is Iron Man's Zero War outfit. And yeah, it's kind of like a Hulkbuster inspired look for this one. And honestly, I would prefer if it was just Hulkbuster. The only real difference here being that it's got like a very shiny black visor with more of a design kind of like screened onto it rather than it being a proper sort of Iron Man helmet. But you do have different ways to kind of play this one. You've got the main color scheme, which is just the red and gold, but you've also got a blue, red, and silver color scheme, which looks very kind of Halo-coded. But I guess I could kind of dig it. You can also remove the helmet visor thing, so it just has a regular-ass Iron Man head, which makes him look like a tiny pinhead fella.
Who you calling Pinhead?
Especially when you have him in the blue suit as well, because then he's got the red and gold Iron Man head underneath it. So yeah, it's a little strange, but it's okay. It's fine. You've got different visor designs as well, which I'm not really going to go into much detail about, but yeah, this is just okay. Again, the Zero War suits really don't do it for me. I'd much rather see Fortnite adapt classic designs. Next up, in October of 2022, we've got X-23, and she's definitely pulling from some of her more comic booky designs here, in that she's wearing a black and silver suit. And yeah, it looks quite cool. This isn't the little Daphne Keene that we got in the Logan movie. This is a much more matured up version. I really like the belt here, especially the back of the belt with the different X insignia in the back. That's really cool. You've got elements of Wolverine's design here, so just kind of the way the stripes are and where the placement is. Yeah, it looks really cool. She's also got this little mask here, this little sort of domino mask with these red lenses. That looks really cool, but you can take that off as well if you just want to play as the regular X-23 minus the mask. It would have been cool if we could have gotten some unique colorways, such as like the yellow costume. Like, I'm not even saying make a whole ass devoted costume for this, just take the costume you have already and make it kind of the yellow and blue color scheme. But never mind, it still looks really cool as it is. Next up, surprising it took this long, we've got the Hulk. And yeah, he's very much a classic Hulk. This is what you would expect the Hulk to look like in Fortnite. He's got that slightly more cartoony look to his body, including very, very chiseled muscles, but he's got that very bulky Hulk look. Similar body type to, I suppose, Thanos, so they've got a big boy body type in Fortnite. So that's good. Yeah, he's got this ripped pair of jeans, which appear to be somewhere between purple and blue. So they kind of look more like jeans that someone would actually wear. I've never seen a guy wear purple jeans before. And you do have another optional version of it. You've got Recruit Hulk, which, yeah, is the Hulk, but he's got like a little scarf on. He's got like a little belt going across his chest. He's wearing camouflage shorts. And, yeah, it's like a slightly more tactical look for the Hulk. And that looks cool as well. That's a decent little change. Kicking off Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 1, we've got Brightstar. Wait, who's Brightstar? So you like how we had kind of infusions of Fortnite characters with Marvel characters with, like, say, Cuddlepool? We've got Brightstar here, who is a Fortnite original character, but kind of like a Fortnite Marvel crossover character, if you will. Think kind of like a Captain America successor character, but one that exists in Fortnite. And she's got kind of a lot of the kind of energy and vibe of like a Fortnite character with like the colored hair, the goggles, and yeah, the very bright sort of pastel colors, but then she's got a very Captain America-esque design. And, man, the stripes aren't really stripes, guys. They got unnecessary cuts in them. Why are they there? Why? But I will say this is quite a neat design. She does have some alternate designs as well, such as one with a jacket over the top, which also looks very cool, very much complements the Captain America vibe, kind of a World War II look. And a version with red, white, and blue stripes instead of the pastel-colored ones, which makes her look like toothpaste. So, yeah, kind of neat. I don't really, give much for the Fortnite original characters. This is fine. This is a neat little crossover. Cool to see him taking some more creative liberties, I suppose. Getting back to the regular Marvel characters, though, we have Captain America. Sam Wilson's Captain America, to be precise. Rocking his costume from the end of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was always a really cool adaptation of that classic Sam Wilson Captain America suit. Although, why can't the MCU just let a rectangle be a rectangle? Now it looks like he's got knives on his chest. But it's been brought to Fortnite very faithfully. It doesn't really have the likeness of Anthony Mackie, but the character model that they have chosen fits the bill. And a nice touch is that his Falcon wings are his glider in the game. So overall, a really solid look. Kicking off Chapter 4 Season 2's Marvel collaborations, we have Spider-Man 2099 from Across the Spider-Verse, and I totally bought this pack. I jumped at the chance to get this pack because I adore the Spider-Verse movies, especially Across the Spider-Verse. And to have a Miguel O'Hara and Miles Morales just make me really happy. Once again, they have done a wonderful job with the shading style from Across the Spider-Verse. It isn't one-to-one for Miguel. It's not absolutely perfect, but it is still good. All of the details look to be correct. I especially like the way the eyes poke out at the top. Just looks really cool. He's got his little wrist doohickey as well, and yeah, the massive arm spikes. And he does come with a cape back bling as well, which wraps around nicely. Finally, a cape that actually fits. Yeah, they did a terrific job with Miguel. He doesn't have an unmasked look here, so we don't have to worry about the kind of uncanny looking plastic heads, for Miguel anyway. Next up, we have Miles Morales, sporting his outfit from Across the Spider-Verse, which is a really clean look. I really have warmed up to this look a lot. And I think the shading style works a lot better here because you've got the black colors rather than it kind of being a bright blue like what Miguel was sporting. But everything from like the body type, just the general character model, the design and everything, yeah, they've done an excellent job bringing this costume to the game. This is one of my favorite skins to play in, and was actually my main for a short bit. Once again, though, the unmasked head does have an unfortunately very plasticky look to it. Again, they can't seem to quite nail the Spider-Verse shading style when it comes to actual human faces. But again, I'm not likely to be going around as Spider-Man without a mask on anyway, and it's cool to have just for people that do like having Spidey unmasked, which is a surprising amount of people, actually. In fact, folks in the comments, could you let me know if you prefer to play with masks on or masks off? I'm a mask-on kind of guy, so that'll be interesting to see what you guys have to say about that. Next up, kicking off Chapter 5 Season 2, is Drax the Destroyer, who launched in March of 2024. So quite a ways after the release of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And, okay, so what have we here then? So the reason why I'm a bit blasé about this is because I think the general Guardians of the Galaxy lineup so far is just a mess. You've got the incredibly cartoony Season 1 styled Star-Lord, you've got comic book Gamora, movie Groot, and now movie Drax. And they just don't look cohesive together. They evidently couldn't get the likeness of Dave Bautista either, so you've just got a bald guy. And look, they've done a good job at bringing MCU Drax to life here. I just kind of wish that we had something that would fit in a bit better with Gamora and Star-Lord. I mean, heck, I just wish they would land on a style for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe redo Star-Lord and Gamora into the movie style, or maybe just offer us a more comic booky Drax. I mean, like, that's the thing, is they could just make him a more bright green, and that would work. Offer that as a separate colorway, but no, this is just a singular skin, so there you have it. Then next up we have Mantis, who is, again, a very faithful translation of the MCU design, so doesn't truly fit in with the Star-Lord and Gamora either. So I guess if you were to play the Guardians of the Galaxy together, you probably just want Groot, Mantis, and Drax so far. They've done a nice job with her, but that's the best I can really say here. The Guardians as a crew are just a hodgepodge of different art styles and sensibilities, and I don't truly think it works very well. But next up we have another Guardian of the Galaxy, another one in the film design as well. We've got young adult Groot, and again, they've done a really nice job translating this design, and I do like this better than the previous Groot design that they had. It's just, yeah, you've got that hodgepodge, but there's another missed opportunity here, in that there's no form of representation for Rocket Raccoon. This is the last of the Guardians of the Galaxy on this list, and none of them even got a Rocket Raccoon back bling or anything like that. They got a little obelisk, that's something, but no Rocket Raccoon? Man, it's crazy how Guardians of the Galaxy 3 made a point that this franchise was all about Rocket, and he doesn't even get a smidge of representation in Fortnite. That's just sad. What a shame.
I am Groot.
Well, boy, do I ever feel fucking stupid. Well, next up, we have Hela from Thor Ragnarok. So I guess, you know, it doesn't matter how long after the film's release, you can still get new skins from it. Cool. And this is a very faithfully made interpretation of her costume from Thor Ragnarok. This is her movie costume, complete with her helmet, which is a little less massive than it was in the movies, which I suppose makes sense because it would make her a massive target if she had that, and where do you put the hitbox? But this helmet also being there, or headpiece, whatever that is, also means I don't have to worry too much about making her look like Cate Blanchett, which, yeah, you can't really tell much difference here. She does come with a separate colorway, which is her gray and black version as opposed to her green and black version, and definitely would go for the green and black version myself. She does come with a cape back bling, and it does actually fit her, so well done, Fortnite. Yeah, this looks good. Continuing with the Ragnarok rep, we've got Champion Hulk, who is a pretty one-to-one replica of how he looked in Thor Ragnarok, when he was battling in the Gladiators ring. Except obviously he's a bit more of a cartoony Hulk under all that armor, which works really well. They have actually got kind of a Mark Ruffalo likeness here though. He does look like the Hulk did in the film. They can probably avoid any copyright issues anyway because the Hulk takes Mark Ruffalo's likeness and does kind of change it quite a bit. So they can probably do that and say, no, it's not Mark Ruffalo's likeness, it's the Hulk's likeness. But either way, an impressive job nonetheless. You also have the option to play as the Hulk without the helmet too, so there's that. It is good to have that choice. So next up, tying in with Loki Season 2, we've got Sylvie. And they've done a good job with Sylvie's likeness and bringing the costume from Season 2 to life, but I'm baffled by the lack of options here. It would be really cool to have a version without the jacket with her in her basic Loki outfit that we saw in Season 1, but that's not an option. Or it would be cool to see her with her tiara. Well, she does have the tiara as a back bling. Why the fuck would that be a back bling? Surely it would make sense to have an option to put it on her head. That is bizarre. If you like Sylvie, this is a perfectly fine representation of her, but I don't understand why they haven't offered more options for this. And making a crown a back bling is such a weird choice. Next up is God of Stories Loki from the end of Loki Season 2, and they've done a really nice job at bringing this suit to Fortnite. You're gonna hear that a lot. They always do a very good job at bringing these designs to Fortnite. Do I love it as much as the previous Loki look? No, but this is still really cool. Like, they did do a very good job with this. It's still a cool look. Truth be told, I haven't seen Loki Season 2 yet. It was at that point where I was really starting to kind of fall out of love with Marvel and was no longer interested in watching every single installment. And the MCU TV shows haven't really done it for me either. But I have heard good things, so I will check it out. And obviously, like, no, this didn't spoil it for me. I had it spoiled for me long before this, so I don't really care. Kicking off Chapter 5, Season 3, which was the controversial Fortnite Wrecked, we have Magneto, and he was quite a major part of that story, as Wrecked was kind of all about metals, and Magneto being kind of a central villain to that, yeah, makes a lot of sense. And we've got kind of a bespoke Wastelander Magneto design here. This isn't a comic or movie look, this is a Fortnite design for Magneto that ties in with that story. However, it is faithful enough to pass off as just classic Magneto as well, just with a slightly dirtied up look. Very cool, but this does come with lots of different options. There's a version of Magneto that has a faceplate on, and yeah, it's just kind of spooky really. But best of all, they do offer you classic Magneto as a choice, which is great. I wish they did more of that. And honestly, the classic reigns supreme for me. If I had this, this would be the one that I would play as. You also have the option of removing his helmet. I personally would play with the helmet because otherwise Xavier can get him. And the cape is also a back bling. So yeah, you do have Magneto's caped look. This is a really good one because they gave us lots of different options, and I especially appreciate that they gave us classic Magneto as well. Next up is Weapon X. He's Wolverine, but he's naked, and he's got a helmet on. But they've given him boxer shorts rather than briefs, so that's a nice change. You also have the option of playing as Weapon X without the helmet, so just like kind of a naked Wolverine. There you go. I don't have much to say about this one. I think they did a nice job. Okay, so moving into Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 3, released in July of 2024 to tie in with Deadpool and Wolverine, we have the Wolverine pen and ink suit. Now, the Deadpool and Wolverine collaborations are fantastic. I love these pen and ink looks, but I am also baffled by the lack of options. So for Wolverine, he is very much wearing the Deadpool and Wolverine version of the Wolverine suit, and it looks fantastic. The cell shading here looks much better than it did back on Daredevil back in the day, and does a great job at mimicking that comic booky look. But what I'm baffled by is that there's only one alternate skin for him, and that is just an unmasked head. It would be cool if we could get a version without the comic effects to better match with the movie, or better match up with other Marvel skins for people that didn't get the chance to get the older Wolverine skins. The suit is also battle damaged with no option to turn off the battle damage, and no option to remove the sleeves and shoulder pads either. So there are some missed opportunities here, but overall, the skin you do get here is very nice. And then next up we have Deadpool himself, the main character of the film. And yeah, once again, the cell shading, very nice, very comic booky. It's baffling that you can't switch it off though. But the suit underneath is definitely the Deadpool and Wolverine version of the suit. And they did a really nice job with it. You really do hear that a lot. You do have the option of a semi-unmasked version and a version with an arrow poking through his head, which is fun. The semi-unmasked version does look very good. No option for fully unmasked though, and once again there's battle damage that you cannot switch off. These do cost a pretty penny in the item shop, so I would have appreciated more options for these, but they are still really cool skins. Like, as they are some of the coolest of the Marvel skins. I just wish we had a few more options with them. Because otherwise you could have like a, you know, maybe you want to do like a Deadpool and Spider-Man team up and they're not going to be in the same art style, which is kind of a little annoying. Next up, we have a whole slew of different X-Men characters, which I think were to tie into the X-Men 97 cartoon revival, as they do very much have the designs that they have in the X-Men 97 cartoon, but no cell shading effects here. So if you got the recent Wolverine skin and you want to pair him up with the X-Men, he's going to look a different art style, which is just weird to me. It's so strange that they didn't offer an option there. But yeah, we've got a very cartoony look, which again leads me to believe that this kind of ties in with X-Men 97. Like a very unapologetic yellow ass here, and very unapologetic yellow details and accents on his suit. But he does have some piping as well, which does give it that kind of tangible quality. But he's also got very sculpted abs, which are very cartoony as well. The face is very cartoony. Overall, it's a very solid representation of Cyclops, very back to basics. They haven't really done much to kind of, make this a new version or a slightly more grounded version, and I like it for it. You know what would make this better? If this had an option for cell shading. So the cell shaded suits that don't have the option of no cell shading should, and the suits that don't have the option of cell shading at all should also have that option, I think. Next up, Colossus, once again sporting a very comic booky design. And yeah, he looks great with his fucking weird-ass side-exposing tank top. But yeah, they've done a really nice job at bringing that classic comic booky-looking Colossus to the game. Not much to really say about him, to be honest. He's a very cartoony take on Colossus, and he works well. Next up, we've got Jubilee, who, again, looks very similar to how she does in X-Men 97, that very classic sort of Jubilee look. Very unashamed with the colors, the bright blue, the bright yellow, the bright pink, and I like it for it. I just think it would be really cool if we did get a cel-shaded option to make her look even more like X-Men 97. But still, this is fine. This is a nice enough adaptation. But okay, if you missed the ancient Wolverine from way back, and you didn't want a cel-shaded Wolverine with your X-Men, well, the good news is they've got Peelverine, which is Fortnite's banana fucker, I don't know what his name is, in a Wolverine costume. And look, this is fun for what it is. I don't really care for just the Fortnite original characters, though, so that's just a personal preference. I am biased, but he's fine. He comes in the Battle Pass, you don't have to pay much for him, and he's fine. He comes in the classic blue and yellow Wolverine colors. You can also get an X-Force variant, which is pretty cool. And you can also get the John Byrne suit, which is written down as classic Peelverine. So what does that make the blue and yellow version then? I don't really know, but it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun for what it is, you know? Fine. God, I don't sound as enthused about some of the later Fortnite Marvel collaborations. And there's been some baffling decision-making, I will say that much. But this is the part where we're back with a vengeance, folks. For Fortnite Chapter 5, Season 4, launching in August of 2024, we've got Mysterio, who... Okay, great. My favorite comic book villain of all time is being represented in Fortnite, so you know that this Battle Pass was a must-have for me. And with this Mysterio design, we kind of have a mashup between MCU Mysterio and kind of the classic Mysterio look as well. Classic Mysterio in that it's very colorful, and you have got the square patterning on his togs. That was there in the MCU, but it was a lot more subtle and it was more rectangular. Here, it is much more how it was in the comics. But the cape is very MCU Mysterio. The eye-shaped clasps are very MCU Mysterio, and the fishbowl and the golden rim around it, very MCU. He has got this kind of flat green material going down the torso and legs, which is interesting. And there's a lot of utility pouches and kind of these leg straps as well, which is very MCU coded. And he does have a cape as his back bling, which fits nicely and really completes the look. But here's what brings this particular collaboration to another level entirely, folks. Because you can unlock some different colorways for Mysterio here, including this red and black one that they've dubbed Supernatural Mysterio, and this more muted version, which is actually a little more close to the MCU design, particularly with the blue lights in the chest, which they've put down as Illusory Mysterio. Now, that's all cool. It is cool to have different color options, but what I especially love here is that in the I Hate a Mystery arc from Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, we had 3 Mysterios coming together. We had Daniel Burkhart, who was wearing a sort of a more muted version of the Mysterio costume. We had Francis Clum, who wore a very classic Mysterio getup. And back from the dead, we had Quentin Beck rocking a red getup. And while they are not exact to the suits of Francis Clum, Daniel Burkhart, and Quentin Beck in that arc, Fortnite have represented each Mysterio with their own devoted colorway, and I love that. I really loved the I Hate a Mystery arc growing up, and it's so cool to see all 3 Mysterios be done justice here. Although I do sense that maybe the Illusory Mysterio isn't meant to be Daniel Burkhart, as Daniel Burkhart was a much more purple-heavy color scheme. He had a purple fishbowl. I think this is meant to be more an homage to MCU Mysterio, but nevertheless, I'm just choosing to see it as the Daniel Burkhart Mysterio. And then, of course, you have the option of changing his fishbowl effect as well, so that there's a little skull underneath, which is very subtle, but very cool. Such a nice touch. Mysterio is my favorite comic book villain of all time, and it always makes me so happy to see him done justice, and Fortnite absolutely did him justice. The red suit is my favorite of the trio. That is my main in Fortnite now. Because, I mean, Mysterio, favorite comic book villain, red, favorite color, mash him up, yeah, you gotta win. So next up is Shuri, and she comes with a lot of different options. Her main outfit is very much a classic sort of Shuri regalia. That's like the outfit that she wore when she's not, you know, being the Black Panther, but she also comes with like a royal white version as well, which looks very clean. but you can suit her up as the Black Panther, and once again, we're going for a more comic book look than the MCU style. You can also have a cape as a back bling, and you can turn the reactive energy on and off. Personally, I prefer when it's off, it just looks cleaner. Of the two styles, I definitely prefer the suited up look with the cape and reactivity switched off, but all of these are really well done. Like, the classic Shuri look that they've got in this, it's very bright, it's very vibrant. And I feel like this is where Fortnite really does succeed in kind of showing the MCU costume designs how it's done, is it kind of leans into the bright and vibrant and fantastical. I feel like we could afford to see more of that from the films. Not that I think the costumes in the films are bad by any stretch, I just think Fortnite is showing that these do work. And while Fortnite, yes, it is a more cartoony title, it's going for a tangible look. Next up, we got Emma Frost, and Emma Frost's designs over the years tend to be a bit more on the sultry side, if you will. Fortnite is obviously a family-friendly game, so they've had to kind of reinterpret that where they can, and they have succeeded in making something that's still got that kind of sexy Emma Frost kind of vibe to it, but it's kind of a bit more subtle. I think they've done a really good job with that. In that you've got quite a fairly kind of revealing outfit underneath this big jacket here, and the jacket looks great. I also love the combination of the white, the silver, and the kind of the sparkly sections as well, which really kind of complement her abilities. But she also comes with two options as well. You've got the organic diamond version, which is her in her crystalline form without the jacket, and then you've got this dark look as well, the Black Queen style. And yeah, that's just a darkened version of her white suit. And it looks great. Yeah, all of these Emma Frost designs have done the character a great deal of justice here. I'd be very happy if she rocked up in a movie looking like this. Next up, we have Gwenpool, which is the first character that you unlock on the Battle Pass for Chapter 5 Season 4. And yeah, there's lots of different unlockable options for this one as well. The base one is just the basic Gwenpool, and she can be unmasked and changed to different cell shading styles as well. So you can have her cell shaded, or you can have her without cell shading, or you can have her with outlines but without the cell shaded colors. More of this, Fortnite. This is great. The unmasked head definitely resembles Gwendolyn Poole as well, complete with the pink dyed tips. And then she's got her alternate looks, one of which just being her Gwendolyn Poole civvies, which are great. They characterize her very nicely. And then there's this dark Gwenpool outfit, which looks really clean. I'll put my hands up and say I know dick all about Gwenpool. All I know is that she's like a real person that gets transported to the Marvel universe, and she kind of uses her Marvel knowledge to save the day and defeat the bad guys. And that's a really cool concept, but I don't know anything more than that, so I don't really know where these different looks originate. I know that the main suit is her main suit though, so there you go. Next up is War Machine, and it is good to see War Machine getting some love because this character doesn't get nearly enough respect in the MCU. There's even rumors that the Armor Wars TV series or movie, whatever it's going to be, is getting canned, which would be a real shame because I think Rhodey deserves so much better. This skin sure as hell gives him justice though. It is kind of like a mashup between kind of like the MCU design and kind of a Fortnite original as well. In that, yeah, there's a lot of MCU design sensibilities. It's a very grounded suit. This would fit in well next to the Iron Man that we talked about earlier. While the detail in the geometry is still a little softer than I'd like it to be, it is at least a bit more defined than that Iron Man was way back when. You do also have the option of wearing the helmet or not. And no, this doesn't have the likeness to Don Cheadle. Like, it won't, because this is not meant to be an MCU War Machine. If anything, I'd say he looks a bit more like John Boyega. But then there are the different colorways that you can unlock as well, one of which being Iron Patriot, and that's where we are pulling a bit more MCU inspiration, is that Iron Patriot is Rhodey. You can have him unmasked, and yeah, it's Rhodey under the mask, but you can always just pretend it's Norman Osborn under there if you're playing as Iron Patriot with the mask on. That being said, I've always loved how Iron Patriot looks. It really brings out the patriotism in me, seeing that they've taken my beloved Union Jack flag of my country and put it on an Iron Man suit. It's just beautiful. No, but I do just really love the color scheme of red, white, and blue, and it isn't for any kind of patriotic reason. I just think it's a cool color scheme, and yeah, it looks good on an Iron Man suit. And then finally, there is the camo War Machine outfit, which is pretty cool. I don't have much to say about this one. It's just kind of cool, kind of clean, you know? I like how it's got a blue arc reactor too. Like, it just, I don't know, it looks very powerful. Although the scar across the eye thing is kind of fucking cringe. Next up, we have Captain Jones. Who's Captain Jones? So if I'm to understand correctly, Jones is like the main protagonist of Fortnite, and this is kind of him in Captain America attire. He's taken up the mantle from Steve Rogers. I mean, like, look, he looks kind of... he's a blonde white dude, so you can pretend that he's Steve Rogers, and you're just playing as him unmasked. But I would definitely have preferred, like, a masked head to come with these. Because, you know, outside of that, you've effectively got kind of like your stealth suit MCU Captain America and your Nomad Captain America. It's funny because this is already like a stealth suit, but there is a stealth variant, which is the same thing, but in much darker blue and red, rather than the bright blue and red that the base suit is. But the best of all of them is the bonus reward that you can unlock, which is a cel-shaded version in those classic Captain America colors, which looks pretty sweet. I just wish we could have a version with the mask on, but I'll take it. This is the closest thing I'm getting to a Captain America anyway, given that I started playing way later than the Captain America skins were introduced. Next up is Iron Spider, but not MCU Iron Spider. They're going for the classic Iron Spider, with kind of a Fortnite twist in that they've made it look like tangible armor this time, rather than it just being a straight up metallic red and gold sort of spandexy suit that it was in the comics. And it works. I've never been massive on Iron Spider. Controversial take, but I honestly prefer the MCU version of Iron Spider, and that's mainly because it looks a bit more like classic Spider-Man, so the case in point, I just prefer classic Spider-Man. But I won't deny that they've done a nice job with this. I would prefer if it was a darker, richer red than this, but what are you gonna do? He also has an unmasked head as well, and I don't know who this is meant to be based off of, but it kind of reminds me of PS5 Peter Parker, the one the entire internet threw a shit fit over and continues to throw a shit fit over. This is fine. If you're into Iron Spider and you love the Civil War arc, this is fine. This is a perfectly fine representation of the Iron Spider. More faithful than what the MCU did as well. So next up, we have the newest iteration of Doctor Doom, this being the event status Doctor Doom, the main villain of this Fortnite season, unless there's some kind of twist and he's not, but for now he is. And it is cool to see Fortnite revisit a comic adaptation. This one is overall a much darker, more armored look. It's more uniformly dark green as well, so you don't have these massive silver parts. It is mostly green, with bright green highlights as well, and I really like how that looks, especially with the cape. And the mask looks great too. He looks very imposing. It's a bit cleaner than the previous costume was, so I definitely think this is an upgrade on the previous Doom. Like the previous Doom had a white and gold version, you've also got the option of the Pandora's Armor Doom if you've unlocked it. And boy does it ever look regal here. This looks amazing. This isn't just a separate colorway, this is an entirely different player model. Personally, I prefer Doom's main look in this season, more classic Doom, but this is still really cool and a great reward. We're on the home stretch here, folks. We're nearly there. I can nearly eat lunch. We have Wolverine's arch nemesis, Meowtooth. We don't have a Sabretooth skin in the game, but we do have this. One of those more Fortnite in-joke skins, and because I don't really know much about Fortnite lore, this completely goes over my head. Hubba. Okay, we got Black Cat. And I'd love to buy this one, but I don't have the money for it right now. Patreon link is in the description below. But yeah, they've done a really nice job at bringing Black Cat to life for this game. The suit has very kind of a realized look to it with like seam lines. I really like the cat belt buckle on it as well. Black Cat is a very sexualized character in comics. Here they haven't gone ridiculously sexualized with like showing off her cleavage and stuff like the comics often did. They have zipped up that cat suit, but still managed to make her look quite sexy. Hell yeah. Some folks have said that she resembles Sydney Sweeney. I don't think she inherently resembles Sydney Sweeney so much as she just kind of resembles Black Cat effectively, but I do think Sydney Sweeney could play Black Cat. You've also got an unmasked variant, and I am gooning hard right now. And that brings us to, so far, the very last of the Marvel skins for Fortnite. And I know there'll be more. Gives me an excuse to update this video later down the line, but we're ending off with Iron Man. Not a Fortnite original this time, this is an MCU suit adaptation, the Mark 45 from Avengers Age of Ultron. Why they picked this suit, I have no idea, because I don't know anyone that has any attachment to the Mark 45. The Mark 45 was like the most CGI-looking suit ahead of the Infinity War one. And that actually bodes okay for Fortnite, considering it is a video game and it is cartoony. And I tell you what, they've done a really nice job bringing it to life here. Considering the suit had very little screen time, I suppose it is quite nice to see it make its way to Fortnite, where it can have a whole new lease on life. I have seen some people complaining about the colors of this one looking too muted, to which I would say I think the comic book fan community needs to kind of reevaluate how we look at color. The idea that muted colors are inherently a bad thing is just toddler shit. It makes it look more metallic and less toy-like, oftentimes giving it more kind of dynamic range in how it kind of like reacts to lighting as well. But more to the point, it's meant to resemble the Mark 45 from Avengers Age of Ultron, and that was a little muted, because the MCU suits tend to mute the colors a little bit. Another thing people complain about, but again, these are superhero costumes that are meant to look functional. They're not supposed to look like a bag of Haribos. That's not to say they can't afford to make things a bit more colorful. I mentioned with the Shuri suit that, yeah, it actually kind of benefited from looking a bit more colorful. In the case of Iron Man, though, that's a bit different. I tell you what, I can understand being a bit frustrated that you can't use the old Iron Man's back blings with this because the colors clash. I can kind of understand that. There's a child outside my apartment window screaming while I'm trying to record. I don't know if you can hear that, but I really wish the child would shut up. No one fucking cares, child. But yeah, this is a good replication of the Mark 45 skin overall. It's not the suit that I would have picked for this, but at the end of the day, it's nice to have a bit of MCU Iron Man rep here. And I do think it does look nicer than the previous Iron Man suits that they had. So that concludes the Fortnite Marvel collab review video. How long has this been? Jesus Christ. I guess I'll finish off by saying which ones of these that I own and which ones of these that are my favorites. So, chronological order here. I've got the comic book Venom, Spider-Man in both the red and the black suit, Spider-Man No Way Home, Zendaya's MJ, Green Goblin, Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Wolverine, Mysterio in both the classic and the red one, War Machine and Iron Patriot, Captain Jones in both his regular suit and stealth suit, Doctor Doom in just his regular suit, and that's the bunch. In terms of Fortnite skins I'd definitely like to see, I would love a Willem Dafoe Green Goblin, a Spider-Verse Peter B. Parker, and I guess non-cel-shaded versions of the Deadpool and Wolverine versions of Deadpool and Wolverine. I think the Guardians of the Galaxy could definitely do with a do-over in one particular art style as well. Rocket Raccoon needs representation too. But across the board, I think Fortnite pays these characters a great deal of respect. You know what I want most of all though? A fat Peter Griffin. Give me a fat Peter Griffin. What do you guys think? What are your favorites and least favorites of the Marvel Fortnite collab skins? Comment below, discuss, and as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to support more like it, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, and in the description below is the link to my Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get your name in the credits of these videos, with a special shout out going to the patrons in the $5 and above tiers. They are Cho Henshin, KB, RT0, Carl-X, Hypes, Sad Goku, Daredenny, SSS06, KO Bennett, Ken K, Mr. SP, Cirrus the Skeptic, Biotin. Oh no, I've used up all of the helium, what am I meant to do now? And Vera Wild. Thank you folks so much for your generosity, and to those of you at home, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Now get out of here.